On Monday, March 27, 2023 at 2 o'clock p.m. in the Commissioner's Courtroom number 110 located at the B County Courthouse at 105 West Corpus Christi Street in Beeville, Texas. B County Commissioner Court reserves the right to go into closed executive session on any of the posted agenda items as the law allows and circumstances require. The subject matter of such meeting shall be as follows. Call to order. This is an official call to order. Number 2, approve transfer of funds from contract labor item to wages for the elections office clerk position tabled for March 13, 2023 regular term meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second? If there's no other second, I'll make the second so we can discuss this. You want me to start off on the discussion? What I understand is happening, we had an individual that transferred from the tax office to the elections office, and when the paperwork was done, there was a salary put down which was the election office salary, which they thought was the tax office salary. But it turns out that salary was incorrect for the tax office. And there's a difference of $1,428 a year, $54.92 a paycheck, about $40 net per pay period. This individual may or may not have taken that position if they knew that the salary was different. I talked to several people. I talked to HR, I talked to auditor's office, I've talked to just about everybody involved, and there were several areas along the way this should have been noticed. The first area that I saw, and someone changed one of the salaries with a pencil from $27,300 to $28,728. In my opinion, and I'm hoping we can start this as a procedure, anytime there's a material change on a, and I call this, we call it P95 in Portion Law, bear with me, but it's the personnel paperwork. They get on the phone and say, hey, Mr. Smith, Ms. Jones, are you aware that this is a salary decrease? That would have clarified it right away. It didn't happen. Okay, went through several other stops, which if any place would have noticed this, it should have come up. It didn't. That's unfortunate. This is not the employee's fault. This, Ms. Rosemary Arasola, is the unfortunate recipient of this information. It's costing her about $40 net per paycheck. She's used to getting that paycheck. I'm sure it's a hardship. And I want to take you back to my career with Parks and Wildlife. I supervised, I was responsible for around 2,000 people at one time. And I had a standing rule in my office that if an error was made in an employee's favor, it stayed. But if an error was made against an employee, we rectified it. This was against an employee. I appreciate all the concern about we're going to start a precedent. I second the motion. This is not a precedent. This is a correction of an oversight. The next one that comes before us, I'm going to vote against it because we should have caught this. This is our error.
Okay, so you're saying, okay, because you brought up that pencil was corrected the error.
That's
okay,
correct.
and that was made in my office.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I just want to make it clear that you're saying that my office made the error.
No, ma'am. I didn't say that.
My office did not make the error.
I didn't say that.
It came from the
I
department
said, now,
head.
wait a minute, let me finish. What I said was the person that did that should have picked up the phone, should have. They did, and it wasn't procedure. I'm recommending that whoever does something like this initially, so we'll know hey, what happened. Go ahead.
So the department head has no responsibility in this
Didn't
because
say that
we didn't hear from the department head either, because the department head could have called too and made an inquiry
I understand.
if the numbers she was putting in the change of status were correct, because we get those calls all the time.
She had more than one opportunity to do that. She could have called you, she could have called HR. And that's part of my recommendation is that in the future, anybody that does this, verify the salary, because they may not know the person that was the losing, I call it the losing office, may not have known they've got all these salaries listed. They just looked, oh, it's $27,300 and said, okay, that's what it is. That was incorrect. There were numerous places along the line. I'm not saying anybody made a mistake. I'm not saying there are any errors. I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. We're here to correct it for the employee. And it's not her fault. She's losing money. She may or may not have taken the position. And what I'm saying is, I would appreciate the court looking at this, something we can make right. This is wrong. It's not her fault. I'm not saying whose fault it was. I'm not putting anybody at fault. It should have been caught. It wasn't. The next one, if another one comes before me, I will vote against it. Because we all know now, check with HR, double check with the auditor. When you're receiving an employee, verify the salary.
So what makes this one different, Commissioner, from others in it?
It's already done, and the employee's already moved. And it should have all happened before the employee moved. It didn't happen. And it wasn't caught. And I'll say again, I go back to what I did with Parks and Life. This is not the employee's fault. This is our collective responsibility,
Me included.
not just one of us.
If we're aware of it, I was totally unaware of this. And then, just for the record, I know you had mentioned that the Commissioner's Court took money away from this individual. We didn't do that.
I did say that.
If you look at the videotape, it said that we're taking money away from the individual. And that's all, my concern there. The other part, and I am concerned of, setting a precedence that, I've already had other people approach me already wanting to know, hey, can I move money from other locations? And you start to set a precedence.
Well,
And Commissioner, I'm agreeing with you. You're right. It's not the individual's
no,
fault.
it's not.
And it's a shame that this dialogue didn't occur prior to her moving over, which all that should have been on the table and clear to this individual. And that's all. I don't even know the individual, and
I've met
no
her,
one's approached me, and I don't know the full circumstance. I'm just dealing with the facts that were presented to us at the time.
Ms. Warren, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're asking is to make up the difference in what would you say it was, 1,400 something?
1428.
For the year.
Plus
out of-
benefits.
Huh?
Plus benefits.
Plus benefits, that's correct.
She wasn't a full-time person at the.
But,
Which
you,
is
but
a
when you
tax
add
office?
when you add on there, it adds benefits.
Yeah, so you got to look at the overall cost
Overall
of burden,
cost is not-
right? So
it's
it's
not 1400
capitalized staff salary and burden that gets added to that. There's some additional cost that goes into the pension, the insurance, and those additional funds.
So that's why
So what
this
that
person wasn't a
number would be?
full-time employee.
Yes,
Yes.
they were, sir.
You changed it, but you changed it from this to this. You're gonna change it, not just, that's only part of it.
Yeah.
If you change it all the way across the board, benefit, it changes. And we're changing it in the middle of the year.
Even if you're, just so I understand it, like County Commissioner Olivares here. So if say, just to make the numbers even, say that person was in the tax office making $30,000 a year plus benefits, and then they moved from there to the elections office or auditor's office, doesn't matter what office, but make a lateral move to another office making the same exact amount. Is it not really the same exact amount?
But it wasn't the same amount.
No, it wasn't the same amount because there's a different position and there's a that's what we've been working for the last 6 years on the salary.
No, I
committee.
get
And
that.
then everything's got an attached
So,
description that goes with that salary
So at the tax office, she was making 28,
for that job over there.
For that job.
28,728
728
with benefits.
with benefits. So if she moved to Ms. Warnick's office and she's making
Less.
28,
27,300.
no, if she's making
The same.
the same as what she was making at the tax office, would the county be paying any more in
But
benefits?
If
than
the
what she was-
positions were the same, no. But the positions are not the same.
The only-
You're talking apples and oranges.
But the only difference in the benefits is not based on the whole salary, it's based on the difference.
Well,
Because I-
agreed.
Yeah,
Just on the
there's a
difference,
difference.
just on the
There's a
difference, so
difference,
that's not a big amount.
But I think the
What you said.
Yeah, you have a person that probably wasn't, the discussion or the dialogue wasn't properly done. She should have been aware that she was moving to a lower rate position, lower paid position prior to even coming over or moving over.
Well, see,
No
that's
one's,
what I'm
no one's
asking.
disagreeing with that.
Is in the tax office at her salary of 28,
728.
728 plus benefits. If she is now working in Ms. Warnick's office and gets what she was paying, getting paid at the tax office, would there be any difference? I mean, she,
But
So
she
it
wasn't
comes-
though, Commissioner. That's what's missing in your scenario. She wasn't. It wasn't a lateral.
It wasn't a lateral.
It wasn't a lateral move,
Right.
okay.
and that's where you're missing it. It wasn't a lateral move because of course if it's a lateral move, and the amount of money is connected to the amount of benefits, and so if the amount is now being proposed to increase, it would be increased with the benefit.
But not any more than what she would be currently at the tax office.
It's a percentage.
No, I guess I'm
Right.
missing.
You're not,
Yeah,
she's
two
not doing the
different
same job
salaries.
that she's doing over here, and the salary here and the salary there, they're not the same.
But that's what Ms. Warnick is asking.
The difference is what's gonna happen,
If she's
you
asking-
move it from, I have this pot over here and I got a little bit of money in it.
Right.
When it comes down, we're gonna change the salary position. What's gonna happen next year? And then she goes, oh, I need contract labor again, but you use that contract labor.
Or other team leads as well, the bigger.
You already took it out of that pot, you
You're
don't have it in that pot
asking,
anymore.
you're asking for this to come out of your budget,
Out of
not,
my budget, that was put a position for contract labor was in there because we were down to 2 employees instead of having our full third-time employee. And so the contract labor was for be able to hire somebody to help me do programming and so forth. At that time, we thought it was going to be Jim, which he went back to the state. And the amount that's in my contract labor is $2,500. The only difference is $1,428. So the excess that they're concerned
friends.
about is there.
Plus friends, just on 1428. And remember, that's not for a full year.
Correct.
The year starts in October,
stopped.
October, November, December. That
And I
position's still over
also want to know, I said to her, it is a lateral move because I had been told her salary was $27,300. Yes, I know I messed up. I'm not contacting the auditor's office or contacting HR, but she was told that. That's why it's that. And I think Mr. Jaime has an amount in mind of how much we're talking about on that 1428.
Well, basically what I was going to say, to maybe help clear up your thinking, Commissioner, when you're talking about two different salaries, if somebody's salary is here and you're bringing it up, it does go up in the benefits in the sense that everything's based on the salary. Workers' comp, your taxes, unemployment, that's all based on how much the person's making. So if that number goes up, of course, more money has to come out of the county to cover that individual because his salary.
no, I get that, but what I'm saying is at the tax office, at that salary of what she was at, the county was paying a certain amount of benefits and everything
Yes.
for that salary. Now, if she's going to the auditor, I'm sorry, if she's going to the elections office, just hypothetically talking here, if she goes to the elections office with that same amount salary-wise, she'll be receiving the same benefits as she was already with the tax office.
If it was
It's two
at the
different
same
budgets,
salary.
Commissioner.
Right.
You're-
And
you're
then when
dealing
they
with two
replace her over
different
there with
budgets.
somebody else,
Okay, so let me
The
ask you
county
two
does.
different budgets. Let me ask this. So let's just, if she's making $30,000 at the tax office with benefits, is that a completely different number? If say she was working at the elections office for $30,000 a year, is it two different?
it's two different numbers,
Well,
two
no,
different
because you're-
positions.
But I think what you're misunderstanding is that it was
Y'all think
the
it's
same
the position, not
amount,
the
but
dollar
it's
amount?
not. It's not I mean, that position still exists in the tax office. You're not like just moving that money over. I mean,
Right.
that position
That
is
spot is still
vacant.
available.
Right.
That
at
position
at
is
that-
vacant in the tax
money.
office, and
Right.
now a vacant position that was in the elections administrator office that was not the same amount and was not verified. That is a whole nother set of money, and the amount $27,300, which was budgeted in that position, has its own benefits
Okay,
and
I
own
see what you're
budget
saying.
and
That's why you
elections
said
office.
it's not the whole amount, it's the difference of, okay, I get it. I get it.
And the position was already funded in the other office for what, October, November, December. So that's already been paid.
Yeah, because I don't think it's the amount of money. That's what I want to get away
not.
from. It's not the amount of
No,
money.
it's not.
It's the whole point of the responsibility because, okay, so the department head or elected official is saying, oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't verify with you or you, so, my bad. Well, I mean, so now, now it's the court's issue. And that's what I just.
Well, and that's.
And so you want to change the salary, excuse me, Commissioner. You want to change the salary, somebody says, hey, I have a flower pot fund over here from the front of my office. I got some money sitting in there. Can I just add it and correct it over here?
Well, and that's where I'm coming back to the court, that there's times, yes, this is what it says. Then there's times we need to do what's right. And this is one of those times I feel we need to do what's right. And that's it. This is it. I will not do the next one. This was a complete oversight. This young lady is suffering, in my opinion. She was used to an extra $40 a paycheck. She realized, hey, why didn't I get my money? She can't go back to the tax office.
I was getting ready to ask that, can
She can't
you?
go back. And I implore the court to do what's right on this one. I will not vote for the next one, period. I won't. But this one, I will.
Yeah, and I can understand your sentiment, and you're right, you know, you definitely want to do right, not only for the court, but also for the people that are paying this. So, I mean, if it's right later on, why wouldn't it be right for today?
Yeah.
It is right.
And you were, and
I mean, you know,
in years
again,
past, you've been a
taking
proponent of not, you were leading the charge on not changing the salary in the middle of the year.
That is correct. We didn't have the situation yet. We messed up, guys. We did.
No.
Yes, we did.
So who's the we?
Government, county government messed up. That's us. We have a chance to rectify it. We have a chance to make it right.
Okay, my only,
I think you're a little wrong on that one.
yeah, so when you say we, okay,
Under the gate. We, us.
but I had no idea, no knowledge, you know, did this individual have that knowledge? So I guess I you know, as you had mentioned to me earlier, you know, I respectfully disagree because we didn't have any decision in that choice.
We didn't.
It was made prior to our coming. I agree.
We can make it right. Or we can say, oh no, let's don't do it. We need to make it right. We have a chance to make it right for this employee. And I don't know her either. She's not kin to me. I haven't talked to her about this, but we can make it right. Who runs the county? The employees do. They do all the work. And here we have a chance to rectify something that we missed collectively.
We depend on the department.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
it
I don't
wasn't
say
missed.
that.
It was in the, I mean, the change of status is clear, and it was clear in the court's record, so.
I've got a copy of it right here.
Uh-huh,
And that's what I'm
it was
saying.
clear, and so everybody
All
did have
somebody had
this
to
on the
do was
court.
pick up the phone and say, hey, Laura, are you aware she's actually making 27,728 and not 27,3? And it didn't happen. And there were multiple places this could have happened. It didn't happen.
Because this correction happens often. That's why we were put into the first spot to get these, so that we could correct them and go to the HR. So we correct it before it gets to the court, which is public record for
Except
everyone
Why
before
didn't
y'all get
somebody
there.
tell somebody, hey, guess what? That didn't happen. That's what I'm saying. We collectively as government messed up.
So can I ask a question, Laura?
Yes, sir, I
So
respectfully disagree.
when did this individual know how much time gap, right? Because we get our information late Thursday, Friday morning.
It was not brought to my attention until she came to me and said my paycheck was $40 less. So
When-
it was her
when-
first paycheck after she came to my office.
How much time prior to coming to the court?
Before that came to the court?
Well,
it would have been
when you
after
had this
that.
discussion.
But when
Right,
I
so-
came the first time, that's when I came and just
Okay.
put it on
Yeah,
there.
I'm not asking it right. Let me frame it a different way. So what was the date that you came from the tax office to your office?
January 30th.
Wow. That was a while back.
Yes.
This has been bouncing around for a little while.
Yes, sir.
And I was just made aware of it. So this one to say we, Commissioner,
No.
you know, this happened
Well, I think
a couple of months back.
I think I'm
with
included
you
in that
on
week too, and it should be.
Commissioner, you know, I was not aware of her change of status or want, desire, nothing like that. You know, but I think when Commissioner DeWitt is saying we, it's kind of like if the shoe fits, wear it type of thing. And like for you and I, for instance, I wasn't aware of that. The shoe doesn't fit, you know, but there was multiple multiple places where it may have gotten caught, you know, before this in different. I have two questions. Have we ever allowed a salary increase in the middle of the year at any department?
That's not me.
Yes.
Cool.
Before you got here, sir.
Oh, not since I've been here.
We have before you got here. There has been some.
And,
I don't know, before I got here, I watched all this stuff.
How long ago was that?
You
trying to remember.
were 6 years, 7 years.
You've been on the court 7 years?
Almost 7 years.
Mercy. Okay, we did. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Too fast.
Yes, we have.
So-
I think, haven't we done some recently in the sheriff's office?
Last year.
what I thought. See, Commissioner,
And
we
that
forget.
that came to the court in an emergency
But
situation.
we've done it, correct?
And
We've
in
done
an
it.
emergency
We've done it.
situation, that they brought it to you in that context. And that makes a big difference in the court's eyes
But-
when it's an
But
emergency.
the bottom line, if you distill it down, we have done it. Is that correct?
Did we not vote last court
Yes, we did.
to increase a salary from $15 to $20 an hour at the sheriff's office?
Yes, we did.
Sheriff's always gotten about 4 or 5 salary changes here in the last year or two.
So to say that we haven't done it mid-year is not really correct, sir.
Well, then that's
We have.
Yeah, because
Where
it
we're
is hard
changing
to compare
It
other
is.
departments to our law
Well, I
enforcement.
agree, 100%, but we have done it.
So one of the reasons,
$15 to $20 an hour is a big increase.
it's right around 33% increase. That's a whole nother issue.
It is because they wouldn't have been able to
Yeah.
fill their vacant position
And in my
and they're not able.
tenure with the court, we've done it in other departments.
My other question is, Jaime, talking about the difference in benefits on that dollar amount that she's lacking to come to the current salary that she was making in the tax office. Do you have a dollar amount as to what that difference is? Say we was to go through and vote yes to do this, and the dollar amount needing to get her salary back up to the 28 or whatever it was would come out of Laura's budget, but the difference in increased benefit, do we have a dollar amount to what that would be?
I don't, whatever is currently the expense, the total expense for the employee at 27, if you match it up to the expense of the 28, whatever the expense of 20, whatever the difference is, that's your difference.
Right, that's what I was
I
asking.
don't know that off the top of my head, sir.
Generally, in my careers, around 28% was fringe. On top of, insurance, retirement, that sort of thing, that used to be around 28%. So if you use 20%, be 20% of 1428, what is that, $200 and some odd dollars extra? So that'd be $1,600 roughly. If it were a full year, it's not a full year. So with your 2,500 in that account, there's more than enough, correct me if I'm wrong, to cover this change.
There'd be money coming back to the county at the end of the year because it's not all used.
But there would be enough to cover this in
Yeah.
her current
I
budget.
think, from my perspective, I think we're missing a high point here. You're right, we could probably get funding from anywhere. We could probably find dollars, in the road administration, we can move things over as well too, using that as an example. I think here what I was focusing on was, there was some dialogue with our judge, and when I brought this up last week, one of the concerns I had is I wanted to hear the judge's response, because apparently you tried to have some dialogue with him, you didn't. I don't know. It was a little bit unclear whether that dialogue happened. I didn't know where his mindset was when he was having that discussion. Mine came in, and just looking at what was presented on that Friday and what I had in front of me, I did not realize this was back January. That's some time that's passed by. And then the key thing I'm gonna stick with is the precedence. And just as you mentioned, today's okay, but tomorrow you wouldn't do it. How kind of a change it. And again, I'm not looking at the individual. I don't know her, and what happened to her was wrong. Maybe there's an opportunity at our next salary increase, whatever date that might be, a couple of months down the road, that'll be corrected. But the way I saw it was, you have an individual that's making X amount of dollar in this role in the tax office. It was pretty present. You could see it. Everything's documented. She's going to take a role at a lesser amount. The communication was definitely off. Jaime, I don't know if you was involved in any of that communication.
No, sir, once we get the change of status from the auditor, once they make their adjustments, we move forward with that, because that's the process. The auditor is the one who determines at the beginning whether this is right or not, and then we move forward with that. So we normally don't question too much after that. We don't.
To use the January date is important, except that it was January 20th. And if there's 2 weeks after that before the first paycheck, she wouldn't have gotten a paycheck until sometime in February. And I think it came to your office, I forget when it was on the first commissioner's court meeting, I wasn't here.
It was on February 13th.
It's not as old as it looks, because when you say January, it was the end of January.
I'm not disagreeing with those dates, but from January, I would thought they would have had some dialogue with them. I mean, they had to know the rate somewhere. Somewhere, something, the ball got dropped.
Well,
That individual
agree.
should have known that there was going to be a decrease in roll.
Well, you don't realize it until you get your check, and it's all direct deposit, so they're probably writing checks on it and
Well-
didn't realize what had happened.
So if you take it away from the individual and put it back on the hiring the team leads, that dialogue, they should have known what those rates were for that
Well,
position.
We all agree. Every one of us agree with that, and that's what I'm saying. County government messed up. And I'm not saying anybody individual, but we messed up. And like I say, I'll repeat it, we have a chance to make this right. We have a chance as Commissioners Court to make it right.
In a few months, they can bring it back to the salary committee, we can make the recommendation then as well.
We have a motion to second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
There's no further aye. Did not pass. Do we have another motion?
Any motion that we just put this down and they would bring it back to the
I'd
salary
make a
committee.
motion that we table it until we get a full court to discuss this.
I'll second that motion.
So my motion that
Yours was never seconded, sir.
okay. You didn't let me finish either.
You got a
But we'll let
motion?
it go.
You got a motion to table? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Here's another motion to table. That didn't pass.
Make a motion that the salary be adjusted when it comes time to budget again. We'll bring it to the salary committee and then we make the recommendation at that time.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no.
No.
Didn't pass. Is there another motion on the table, Joe? We've had 3 motions and 3 motions have failed. Is there any other motion that the court would like to make?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those against? Court is adjourned. Thank you.